Hey guys, today I wanted to show you how to properly swing a kettlebell, especially for beginners, and maybe why you would want to do such a thing. Guys, today I want to break down the kettlebell swing. It's probably the most basic exercise that you can do with a kettlebell. It's usually the first thing I teach people with a bell because I think the benefits that you get out of a kettlebell swing are amazing. They work the whole posterior chain. So that's the whole backside of your body basically. Primarily, you're working your buttocks, your glutes. Those are huge muscles and we tend to turn them off, because we sit a lot. Also works the back of the legs, your hamstrings get involved, your lower back, primarily the erectors. Those are the big muscles that run up and down on either side of your spine that help keep us upright. A lot of core involved too. Remember, your core is not just your abs, it's basically everything in your midsection, both on the front and the back. It's just a kettlebell swing tends to focus more on the posterior chain. How we're going to start the kettlebell swing is we're going to work on mini swings. So we're not going to take it from the floor, so we're going to actually deadlift the bell into position. So the most important thing here is just to keep a nice flat back. Don't allow your back to round when you pick up the bell. You're going to straddle it, so basically my feet are on either side of the bell. Again, maintaining a flat back, I'm going to push my butt back like a hip hinge, reach down with straight arms, and just pick the kettlebell up like this. Okay? From this position, don't allow your shoulders to come forward. Remember, stand up in a nice upright position. And we're just going to start with little mini swings. So we're not going to try and get the kettlebell to any height right now. We're going to keep the hip hinging action kind of soft. It's going to look like this. So I'm just getting used to the idea of the swing. It almost feels a bit like a pendulum right now. And you're going to notice two things. One thing is that the kettlebell is never going to come down towards my knees or my shin. I keep it fairly high, and it's really very close to my groin area here. The other thing you're going to notice is because it's a hip hinge, I'm hiking the kettlebell back behind me, and my hands actually contact the inside part of my upper thighs here as I keep that kettlebell nice and close. And if you watch my knees, they're not coming forward. So I'm not doing this squatting action, I'm hiking the kettlebell back. And when I do that, I feel it on the back of my legs. I feel the stretch on my hamstrings as I get ready for them to fire. Remember, this is a hamstring gluteal pull. Okay, so I hike the kettlebell back. As I open the hips and bring them forward, that automatically takes the kettlebell up. Relax your arms, okay? This is not about arms and shoulders. My arms and shoulders, the only job they're doing is hanging onto the bell, but they're relaxed. So let's actually take a kettlebell swing from the ground. So if my bell is on the ground, I'm going to step back away from it. I'm not going to be directly over it. The feet are going to be fairly flat on the ground. The weight's going to be on the heels, and I'm going to initiate this hip hinge. Okay, so remember, the kettlebell swing does not involve a squat, it's a hinge. So hinge at the hip, push your butt back behind you, and if you'll notice, my knees are not coming forward, they stay back. My shins are vertical to the ground. That's how it should be at the bottom of the swing, which looks like this. The bell will be nice and tight to my groin, and I feel it in my hamstrings, okay? That's what's gonna fire. All I do at the top of the swing, I just thrust my hips forward and I lock everything out. So everything should be in a straight line. Your hips should be open, okay? And the kettlebell will just naturally go into the air. It should be roughly around eye level or higher than chest level at the top. Now I did mention that at the top of the swing, you want to make sure that your body's all locked out and that your hips are fully open. There's one thing I haven't mentioned yet, and that's another thing you need to do at the top of the swing. When your hips are open, you need to squeeze your butt and squeeze your abs hard and tighten as you exhale sharply. And that will help you tighten your abs and tighten your butt. That ensures your hip is fully open, and you're gonna really work your core. You're gonna actually torch your core if you do this properly. So to get set up, I step back, I hip hinge, I'm gonna grab the kettlebell, I'm gonna pull it towards me, and I angle it off the floor because I want to engage the shoulder. So I kind of retract the shoulder. I'm going to feel the weight of my heels, and I'm going to hike the kettlebell back towards my groin, and then thrust it forward. You know, the kettlebell swing, it does take some coordination and may take some practice to get it down. But if you're having trouble with it, think of it as a natural movement. I mean, for me, it's something that feels instinctive because the kettlebell swing really mimics throwing. Throwing a heavy object, not for height, but for distance. So if you had a heavy rock or a medicine ball, say something that weighs over 50 pounds, and you had to throw it for distance, instinctively, you probably use the power of your hips because they're strong and explosive muscles here. So you probably hike your hips back and throw it this way. So a kettlebell swing really mimics throwing something for distance. You're just throwing it multiple times. So I recommend practicing taking the kettlebell swing from the ground and work on sets of 10, taking a little break in between, and try and work on your technique. Remember, back should be flat throughout the whole movement. You want to protect your back. You want to make sure you're hip hinging, not squatting, and you want to make sure you're not using your arms. So practice. Now, one thing I will address is the height of the kettlebell swing, because you may have seen people swinging kettlebells and they go all the way overhead. That's not the swing I do. I tend to do the standard Russian kettlebell swing. So the overhead one to me is a variation. So I may do it from time to time, but I would say 95% of the kettlebell swings I do are Russian swings, and that's what I recommend for you. So let's recap and practice. I'm going to have my feet in a bit of a straddle, but I'm behind the bell. My feet are flat on the ground, weights on the heels. I'm going to initiate the hip hinge. My back is flat. I'm pushing my butt back. I keep my knees back so my shins are vertical. I'm going to reach down and grab the bell. I'm going to pull it towards me as I try and engage the shoulder girdle and try and retract the shoulders a little bit as I angle that bell. And I'm leaning almost back. So I'm pulling it. I'm going to hike the kettlebell back towards my groin, so I hike it back and up, and then thrust my hips forward as I exhale. Remember, at the top of the swing, you want to squeeze your butt and squeeze your abs as you exhale sharply. When you place the kettlebell down, deadlift it down, flat back. Don't make the mistake of relaxing and putting the bell down. You're going to hurt yourself. Just be mindful. So guys, if you made it this far, I really want to thank you for watching. I do appreciate it, and hopefully this was helpful. I enjoy putting it together. There's lots to talk about when it comes to kettlebells, but that just gives me material for future videos. I want to start sharing more of what I know and what has helped me with you guys. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.